Chanel is a French luxury fashion house. The company was founded in 1910 by Coco Chanel, and to this very day, the company is still alive and healthy. So, how did it become so popular? Let's find out. The Coco Chanel establishment and recognition from 1909 to the 1920s. The House of Chanel, Chanel S.A., originated in 1909 when Gabrielle Chanel opened a millinery shop at 160 Boulevard Malesbury's, the ground floor of the Parisian flat of the socialite and textile businessman Anthony Balsan, of whom she was the mistress. Because the Balsan flat was also a salon for the French hunting and sporting elite, Chanel had the opportunity to meet with their demi-mondaine mistress, who as such were women of fashion, upon whom the rich men displayed their wealth, as ornate clothes, jewelry, and hats. Coco Chanel thus could sell them the hats she designed and made. She thus earned a living independent of Balsan. In the course of those salons, Coco Chanel befriended Arthur Boyd Chappell, an English socialite and polo player friend of Anthony Balsan. Per the upper-class social custom, Chanel also became mistress to Boyd Chappell. Despite that social circumstance, Boyd Chappell perceived the businesswoman innate to Coco Chanel. And in 1910, Boyd Chappell financed her first independent millinery shop, Chanel Modes, at 21 Rue Cambon in Paris. Because that locally already housed a dress shop, the business least limited Chanel to selling only millinery products, not couture. 2 years later, 1913, the Daville and Briot Courte shops of Coco Chanel offered for sale prêt-à-porter sports clothes for women, the particular designs of which allowed the wearer to play sports. The First World War from 1914 to 1918 affected European fashion through scarcity of materials and the mobilization of women. By that time, Chanel had opened a large dress shop at 31 Rue Cambon near the Hotel Ritz in Paris. Among the clothes for sale were flannel blazers, straight-line skirts of linen, sailor blouses, long sweaters made of jersey fabric, and skirt and jacket suits. Coco Chanel used jersey cloth because of its physical properties as garment, such as its straight, how it falls upon and falls from the body of the woman, and how well it adapted to a simple garment design. Sartorially, some of Chanel's designs veered from the military uniforms made prevalent by the war. And by 1915, the clothes produced by the House of Chanel were known throughout France. In 1915 and in 1917, Harper's Bazaar magazine reported that the garments of La Maison Chanel were on the list of every buyer for the clothing factories of Europe. The Chanel dress shop at 31 Rue Cambon presented daywear dress and coat assembles of simple design, and black evening dresses trimmed with lace. And Toulet fabric dresses decorated with jet, a minor gemstone material. After the First World War, La Maison Chanel, following the fashion trends of the 1920s, produced beaded dresses, made especially popular by the flapper woman. By 1920, Chanel had designed and presented a woman's suit of clothes composed either of 2 garments of 3 garments, which allowed a woman to have modern, feminine appearance whilst being comfortable and particular to maintain. Advocated as the new uniform for afternoon and evening, it became known as the Chanel suit. In 1921, to complement the suit of clothes, Coco Chanel commissioned perfumer Ernest Box to curate a perfume for La Maison Chanel. His perfumes included the perfume number 5, named after the number of the sample Chanel liked best. Originally, a bottle of number 5 de Chanel was a gift to clients of Chanel. The popularity of the perfume prompted La Maison Chanel to offer it for retail sale in 1922. In 1923, to explain the success of her clothes, Coco Chanel told Harper's Bazaar magazine that design simplicity is the keynote of all true elegance. Business partners, late 1920s. The success of the number 5 encouraged Coco Chanel to expand perfume sales beyond France and Europe and to develop other perfumes, for which she required investment capital, business acumen, and access to the North American market. To that end, the businessman Théophile Bader, founder of Galeries Lafayette, introduced the venture capitalist Pierre Wetterman to Coco Chanel. Their business deal established the Parfums Chanel Company, a perfumery of which Wetterman owned 70%, Bader owned 20%, and Chanel owned 10%. Commercial success of the joint enterprise was assured by the Chanel name and by the cachet of La Maison Chanel, which remained the sole business province of Coco Chanel. Nonetheless, despite the success of the Chanel couture and parfumerie, the personal relations between Coco and her capitalist partner deteriorated because Coco said that Pierre Wetterman was exploiting her talents as a fashion designer and as a businesswoman. Wetterman reminded Chanel that he had made her a very rich woman, and that his venture capital had funded Chanel's productive expansion of the parfumerie, which curated the wealth they enjoyed, all from the success of No. 5 de Chanel. Nevertheless, unsatisfied, the businesswoman Gabrielle Chanel hired the attorney René de Chambrun to renegotiate the 10% partnership she entered. In 1924, the Parfums Chanel Company. The lawyer-to-lawyer negotiations failed, and the partnership percentages remained as established in the original business deal among Wetterman, Bottle, and Chanel. Elegance and the War from the 1930s to the 1940s. From the main fashions of the 1920s, Coco Chanel progressed to womanly fashions in the 1930s. Evening dresses designs were characterized by an elegant feminine style, and summer dresses featured contrasts such as silver eyelets and shoulder straps decorated with rhinestones, drawing from Renaissance time fashion stylings. In 1932, Chanel presented an exhibition of jewelry dedicated to the diamond as a fashion accessory. It featured the comet and fountain necklace of diamonds, which were such original design that Chanel SA represented them in 1993. Moreover, by 1937, the House of Chanel had expanded the range of its clothes to more women and presented prêt-à-porter clothes designed and cut for the petite woman. Among fashion designers, only the clothes curated by Elsa Schiaparelli could compete with the clothes of Chanel. During the Second World War, from 1939 to 1945, Coco Chanel closed shop at Maison Chanel, leaving only jewelry and parfumerie for sale, and moved to the Hotel Ritz in Paris, where she lived with her boyfriend Hans Gunther von Dinklage, a Nazi intelligence officer. Upon conquering France in June 1940, the Nazis established a partisan occupation headquarters in the Hotel Maurice on the Rue de la Rouville, opposite of the Louvre Museum and just around the corner from the fashionable Maison Chanel SA at 31 Rue Cambon. Meanwhile, because of the Nazi occupation's official anti-Semitist, Pierre Wetterman and family had fled France to the U.S. in mid-1940. Coco Chanel attempted to assume business control of Parfums Chanel, but was thwarted by an administrative delegation that disallowed her sole disposition of the parfumerie. Having foreseen the Nazi occupation policy for the seizure and exportation to Germany of Jewish business and assets in France, Pierre Wetterman, the majority partner, had earlier, in May 1940, designated Felix Aminot, a Christian French industrialist, as an Aryan proxy whose legal control of the Parfums Chanel business proved politically acceptable to the Nazis, who then allowed the perfume company to continue as an operating business. Occupied France abounded the rumors that Coco Chanel was a Nazi collaborator. Her clandestine identity was Secret Agent 7124 of the Abwehr codename Westminster. As such, by order of General Walter Schellenberg of the Chanelists, Chanel was dispatched to London on a mission to communicate to British Prime Minister Winston Churchill on the particulars of a separate peace plan proposed by Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler, who sought to avoid surrendering to the Red Army of the Soviet Russians. At the war's end, upon Allied liberation of France, Chanel was arrested for having collaborated with the Nazis. In September 1944, the Free French Purge Committee, the operation, summoned Chanel for interrogation about her collaborationism, yet without documentary evidence of or witnessed to her collaboration with the Nazis, and because of Churchill's secret intervention in her behalf, the operation released Coco Chanel from her arrest as a traitor to France. Despite having been freed by the political grace of Churchill, the strength of the rumors of Chanel's Nazi collaboration had made it not possible for her to remain in France. So Coco Chanel had her German lover, Hans Gunther von Dinklage, went into an 8-year exile to Switzerland. In the post-war period, during Coco Chanel's Swiss exile from France, Pierre Witherman returned to Paris and regained formal administrative control of his family's business holdings, including control of Parfums Chanel, the parfumery established with his venture capital, and successful became of the Chanel name. In Switzerland, the news revived Coco Chanel's reinstatement at having been exploited by her business partner for only 10% of the money. So she established a rival Swiss perfumery to create, produce, and sell her Chanel perfumes. In turn, Wethermere, the majority capital stock owner of Parfums Chanel, saw his business interests threatened and his commercial rights infringed because he did not possess legally exclusive rights to the Chanel name. Nonetheless, Wethermere avoided a trademark infringement lawsuit against Coco Chanel lest it damage the commercial reputation and the artistic credibility of his Chanel brand perfumery. Wisely, Pierre Wethermere settled his business and commercial rights quarrel with Chanel, and in May 1947 they renegotiated the 1924 contract that had been established. Parfums Chanel, she paid $400,000 in cash wartime profits from the sales of perfume No. 5 de Chanel, assigned a 2.0% running royalty from the sales of No. 5 Parfumerie, assigned limited commercial rights to sell her Chanel perfumes in Switzerland, and granted a perpetual monthly stipend that paid all of her expenses. In exchange, Gabrielle Chanel closed her Swiss parfumerie enterprise and sold to Parfums Chanel the full rights to the name Coco Chanel Resurgence from the 1950s to the 1970s. In 1953, upon returning to France from Switzerland, Coco Chanel found the fashion business enamored of the new look, 1947 by Christian Dior. The signature shape featured a below mid-calf length full skirt, a narrow waist, and a large bust, stylistically absent since 1912. As a post-war fashion that used some 20% yards of fabric, the House of Dior couture renounced wartime rationing of fabric for clothes. In 1947, after the 6-year sorties of the Second World War, from 1939 to 1945, the new look was welcomed by the fashion business of Western Europe because sales of the pretty clothes would revive business and the economy. To regain the business primacy of the House of Chanel in the fashion fields of haute couture, prêt-à-porter, custom jewelry, and perfumery would be expensive. So Chanel approached Pierre Witherman for business advice and capital. Having decided to do business with Coco Chanel, Witherman's negotiations to fund the resurgence of the House of Chanel granted him commercial rights to all Chanel brand products. In 1953, Chanel collaborated with the jeweler Robert Goussens. He was to design jewelry, bougerie, and gemstone to complement the fashions of the House of Chanel. Notably, long strand necklaces of black pearls and white pearls, which high contrast softened the severe design of the knitted wool Chanel suit, skirt, and cardigan jacket. The House of Chanel also presented leather handbags with either gold-colored chains of metal and leather chains, which allowed carrying the handbag from the shoulder or in the hand. The quilted leather handbag was presented to the public in February 1955. In-house, the numeric version of the launching date 2.55 for that line of handbags became the internal appellation for that model of the quilted leather handbag. Throughout the 1950s, the sense of style of Chanel continued undeteriorated. The firm's initial venture into masculine perfumery, Pour Monsieur, was a successful idée de toilette for men. Chanel and Spring Collection received the Fashion Oscar at the 1957 Fashion Awards in Dallas. Pierre Witherman bought Batter's 20% share of the Parfums Chanel, which increased the Witherman percentage to 90%. Later, in 1965, Pierre's son, Jacques Witherman, assumed his father's management of the Parfumerie. About the past business relationship between Pierre Witherman and Coco Chanel, the Chanel attorney, Chambrain, said that it had been one based on a businessman's passion, despite her misplaced feelings of exploitation. Thus, when Pierre returned to Paris, full of pride and excitement after one of his horses won the 1956 English Derby, he rushed to Coco expecting congratulations and praise, but she refused to kiss him. She resented him, you see, all her life. Coco Chanel died on January 10, 1971 at the age of 87. She was still designing at the time of her death. For example, in the 1966 to 1969 period, she designed the air hostess uniforms for Olympic Airways. The designer who followed her was Pierre Cardin. In that time, Olympic Airways was a luxury airline owned by the transport magnate Astriol Onassis. After her death, the leadership of the company was handed down to Yvonne Dudel, Jean Cosbon, and Philippe Gouzebel. So far, the bags designed by Chanel are still very popular in the vintage market. After a period of time, Jacques Witherman bought the controlling interest of the House of Chanel. Critics stated that during his leadership, he never paid much attention to the company, as he was more interested in horse breeding. In 1974, the House of Chanel launched Cristal et de Toilette, which was designed when Coco Chanel was alive. 1978 saw the launch of the non-portrait prêt-à-porter line and worldwide distribution of accessories. Alain Witherman, son of Jacques Witherman, assumed control of Chanel SA in 1974. In the US, No. 5 de Chanel was not selling well. Alain revamped Chanel No. 5 sales by reducing the number of outlets carrying the fragrance from 18,000 to 12,000. He removed the perfume from drugstore shelves and invested millions of dollars in advertisement for Chanel cosmetics. This ensured a greater sense of scarcity and exclusivity for No. 5, and sales rocketed back up as demand for the fragrance increased. He used famous people to endorse the perfume, from Marilyn Monroe to Audrey Tautou. Looking for a designer who could bring the label to new heights, he persuaded Karl Lagerfeld to end his contract with fashion house Chloé. The post-Coco era. In 1981, Chanel launched Antennas en Eau de Toilette for men. In 1983, Karl Lagerfeld took over as chief designer for Chanel. Like Chanel, he looked into the past as inspirations for his designs. He incorporated the Chanel fabrics and detailing such as tweed, gold accents, and chains. Lagerfeld kept what was signature for Chanel, but also helping bring the brand into today. Lagerfeld kept what was signature for Chanel, but also helped bring the brand into today. In later collections, Lagerfeld chose to break away from the ladylike look of Chanel and began to experiment with fabrics and styles. During the 1980s, more than 40 Chanel boutiques opened worldwide. By the end of the 1980s, the boutique sold goods ranging from $200 per ounce perfume, $225 ballerine slippers, to $11,000 dresses and $2,000 leather handbags. Chanel cosmetics fragrances were distributed only by Chanel outlets. Chanel marketer Jean Honnet explained the firm's approach, saying, "We introduce a new fragrance every 10 years, not every 3 minutes like many competitors. We don't confuse the consumer. With Chanel, people know what to expect. And they keep coming back to us at all ages as they enter and leave the market." The 1984 launch of a new fragrance in honor of the founder, Coco, continued the label's successes. In 1986, the House of Chanel struck a deal with watchmakers, and in 1987, the first Chanel watch debuted. By the end of the decade, Elaine moved the offices to New York City. Maison de Chanel increased the Weatherman family fortune to $5 billion. Sales were hurt by the recession of the early 1990s, but Chanel recovered by the mid-1990s with further boutique expansion. In 1994, Chanel had a net profit equivalent to £67 million on the sale of the £570 million in ready-to-wear clothes, and was the most profitable French fashion house. In 1996, Chanel brought gunmakers Holland & Holland, but failed in its attempts to revamp the firm. The swimwear label Herrés was also purchased in 1996. Chanel launched the perfumes Allure in 1996 and Allure Homme in 1998. The House of Chanel launched its first skincare line, Precision, in 1999. That same year, Chanel launched a travel collection and, under a licensed contract with Luxottica, introduced a line of sunglasses and eyeglass frames. While Weatherman remained chairman, Françoise Montaigne became CEO and president. 2000 saw the launch of the first unisex watch by Chanel, the J12. In 2001, watchmaker Bell & Ross was acquired. The same year, Chanel boutiques offering only selections of accessories were opened in the United States. Chanel launched a small selection of menswear as part of their runway shows. In 2002, Chanel launched the Chance Perfume and Perfection, a subsidiary company originally established in 1997 to support artisanal manufacturing that gathered together ateliers, the art or workshops, including Desiree's for ornamentation and buttons, La Marie for feathers, Les J for embroidery, Mozare for shoemaking, and Michael and Michelle for millinery. A Prêt-à-Porter collection was designed by Karl Lagerfeld. In July 2002, a jewelry and watch outlet opened on Madison Avenue. Within months, a 1,000 square foot, 90 meters squared shoe/handbag boutique opened next door. Chanel continued to expand in the United States and by December 2002 operated 25 US boutiques. Chanel introduced Coco Mademoiselle and In Between Wear in 2003. Targeting younger women, opened a second shop in Rue Cambon, opened a 2,400 square feet, 220 meters squared boutique in central Hong Kong, and paid nearly 50 million US dollars for a building in Janzan, Tokyo. In 2007, Maureen Kuchukik was appointed CEO. She remained CEO until her termination in 2016. In 2018, Chanel announced a relocation of its global headquarters to London. In December of the same year, Chanel announced that it would ban fur and exotic skins from its collections. In February 2019, Lagerfeld died at age 85. Virginie Viard, who had worked with Lagerfeld at the fashion house for over 30 years, was named the new creative director. In December 2021, Lena Nair was appointed Global Chief Executive Officer. And there's the history of Chanel. How did it become so popular? Well, I think when they did all those acquisitions with all those people and other companies, I think that's how they became very popular. Anyways, this is where I'm going to end off this video. If you guys happen to enjoy this video, please make sure to hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe because I do videos every single day. And also don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell on my second channel. My second channel will be the third link in below. And if you guys would like to follow me on Instagram or send me fan art, you guys can send me fan art on my Instagram. My Instagram will be the second link in below. And if you guys like to join my Roblox finger will be the first link in below. And if you guys like to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter will be the fourth link in the description below. And if you guys like to follow me on Reddit, my Reddit will be the fifth link in below. And if you guys like to follow me on TikTok, my TikTok will be the sixth link in below. And if you guys like to check out my Facebook page will be the seventh link in below. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!